You know that feeling when it seems like you're just stuck? Almost like you're a spectator watching your own life play out on a screen? Well, today, we're going to dig into some really powerful wisdom from the writer Anton Chekhov. And trust me, it's designed to be a wake-up call for exactly that feeling.
All right, so let's dive in. And I have to warn you, Chekhov, he doesn't exactly offer a gentle pat on the back. His words are more like a wake-up call. You could even call it a gentle literary slap in the face.
So listen to this. This isn't just some nice, fluffy advice. Chekhov is basically telling us that life doesn't hand out awards for silently suffering. This is a direct, urgent call to action. It's him yelling from the rooftops, stop watching and start living. And this idea really cuts deep. The idea that stagnation isn't loyalty, it's a slow extinction. Think about that. Staying in a place, or with people, or even with an old idea that is actively hurting you, that's not noble. Chekhov's point is that it's a form of self-erasure. He's saying that anything that's stifling your growth is replaceable.
Okay, so if being a spectator is so bad for us, why do we do it, right? Why do we so often choose to just stand on the sidelines of our own lives? It's like we build this spectator's cage for ourselves. Let's take a closer look at what that cage is made of.
I mean, this is the really tough question, isn't it? Why do we stay in what pains us? It's such a deeply human thing to do, to just cling to a situation, a job, maybe a relationship, long after it started to hurt. So what is it? What's the glue that holds us there?
Well, the walls of this cage are pretty strong. For one, there's this illusion of safety in what's familiar, right? Even if it's painful, at least we know what to expect. Then there's just plain old fear of the unknown. And our identity. Wow, it gets so tied to our current situation that leaving feels like we're literally losing a piece of who we are. But maybe the biggest one is the weight of what other people expect. We start hearing their voices in our heads and mistake them for our own conscience.
And here's the really sneaky part. A lot of what we call patience is actually just fear. And so much of what we call loyalty is really just paralysis. See what we do there? We give our inaction these noble-sounding names to make it easier to swallow. We tell ourselves we're being patient or loyal. But Chekhov really forces us to ask the hard question. Is it really a virtue, or is it just fear wearing a fancy disguise? So, this leads to a really crucial question. How can you tell the difference between healthy, productive endurance and just self-destructive paralysis? There's a big difference. And to help us get it, we're going to look at this amazing metaphor, the seed versus the stone.
So let's define what we mean by true patience here. It's not just sitting around waiting. No, it's an active struggle of growth. It's a process, not a paralysis. It's something that happens when you're moving, not when you're stuck in the mud. It's the fight toward a goal.
Okay, here's the metaphor in action. Think about a seed. A seed represents true patience. It's literally pushing through the soil. It's an active struggle, right? And yeah, there's pain in that growth, but it's all for a purpose, to reach the light. Now compare that to the stone. The stone is false patience. It's just sitting at the bottom of a river. It's completely passive, no direction, no goal. And you know what? A stone doesn't feel anything because it has forgotten how to feel. And that's the key. The real danger isn't the pain that comes with growth. It's the total numbness that comes from stagnation.
All right, so now that we have this idea of being a seed, not a stone, what's the game plan? How do we actually put this into practice? Well, Chekhov gives us some prescriptions for an active life, breaking it down into 4 key areas to focus on. These are his 4 acts of self-creation. First, evaluate your places. Does your environment, your home, your job, does it expand you or shrink you? Second, assess your people. Do the people in your life illuminate you, or do they kind of drain your light? Third, listen to your boredom. He says it's a signal that you've outgrown your space. And fourth, read with passion. Use books to open up a whole parallel world inside yourself.
Let's dig a little deeper into that point about people. Wow, think about that. His point is, if you stay in a relationship that's draining you, you're not doing anyone any favors. You're just offering them this worn-out, faded version of yourself. So leaving isn't just mercy for you, it's mercy for them too. Because really, who wants to be with a ghost?
And what about boredom? Most of us just think of it as, a sign we need to scroll our phones or turn on the TV. But Chekhov sees it completely differently. For him, boredom is the soul's announcement that it has outgrown its current situation. It's not a lack of pleasure, it's a call to innovate. It's your inner self yelling, hey, I'm ready for the next thing. Let's create something new. Okay, so let's pull all of this together. We've talked about the spectator's cage, the seed versus the stone. So what does this all mean? What's the big takeaway from Chekhov telling us to stop being a spectator? Well, it's that you are the author.
Ultimately, it comes down to this simple, powerful idea. Life is an action, not a state. It's something you actively create, not something you just fall into and endure. Every single moment you spend just waiting for things to happen to you, that's a moment you're giving away your power to make things happen for yourself.
And this might be the most empowering idea of all. You are the author. You are not some secondary character in a story that someone else is writing. No way. You're the protagonist. You are holding the pen, and you get to decide what happens in the next chapter.
Because at the end of the day, the world doesn't remember the spectators. History remembers the people who jumped in, the innovators, the ones who actually stepped into the arena. But you know what's even more important? You won't remember yourself with much kindness if all you ever did was watch your own life from the sidelines.
And that brings us to the final, really challenging question that Chekhov leaves us with. It flips the whole script. It asks us to stop thinking about what happened to us and start thinking about what we did with what happened. It shifts the entire perspective from being a victim to being an agent in your own life. So the question isn't what happened to you, it's what did you do with what happened?